Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Greg Yaccarino, Chair of the Public Affairs Committee of Madison Civics Club. And on behalf of our committee, whose members include Donna Uteg and Joanne Cantor, it is our distinct pleasure to introduce Lori DiPrete Brown, who will be our public affairs speaker this morning. Lori is the director of the 4W Women and Wellbeing Initiative at UW-Madison, a distinguished faculty associate with the Global Health Institute and the School of Human Ecology. She is engaged with global health education and partnerships around the world. UW programs to address gender and well-being include reproductive health, micro-enterprise, local to global efforts to end human trafficking, and the empowerment of women in agriculture, to name a few. Lori has served as a Peace Corps volunteer and has worked with USAID, the Pan American Health Organization, the World Health Organization, CARE, and Save the Children. She received a BA from Yale University and an MSPH and MTS from Harvard School of Public Health and the Harvard Divinity School. She is the author of a novel, Caminata, which is based on her Peace Corps service in Honduras, and she blogs about global health at globalhealthreflections.wordpress.com. It is our distinct pleasure to introduce Lori DiPrete Brown.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. Today I'm going to be telling you about the UW-Madison 4W initiative, Women and Wellbeing in Wisconsin and the World. This is a university-wide effort convened by the School of Human Ecology, the Global Health Institute, and the Department of Gender and Women's Studies for our campus. And the Dean of the School of Human Ecology, Soyeon Shem, is here today. So I just want to say she's a wonderful visionary leader without whom I might not be standing here. So thank you, Soyeon. I'm proud to say that 4W is also one of Chancellor Blank's campus priorities, and that means a lot to the leaders who are working so hard to build the program. And our mission is simply this: to make life better for women, and in so doing, make the world better for all. What does that really mean? What would that look like? Well, it starts by listening. Last fall, in a rural village in northern Ghana, we sat in a circle of women talking about their lives. We listened as they told us what well-being meant to them. The question we asked was, what makes you feel good? And they described a good day. There's enough water to bathe your children in the morning, give them a good breakfast, and take them to school. And they described harder days toward the end of the dry season, when water and food are in short supply and the fields are barren. The things that we learned from these women will be used to develop educational materials and evaluation tools to be used by the Peace Corps, 4-H, and other organizations in Ghana and beyond. For me, circles like this, lots of them, have powerful ripple effects, and they are central to what 4W is about. We're fortunate as the 4W initiative to address these kinds of challenges from UW-Madison's special position as a leading institution of higher education. And that means we can think bigger. That means we train leaders, we contribute to the development of evidence-based, scalable programs and policies, and we provide national and global thought leadership. Our 4W Director Circle includes faculty from over 20 leaders from a broad array of schools and colleges. $4 million in gifts and grants have been raised to date, and we are increasing access to health care, working to end human trafficking, supporting microenterprise efforts, working to empower women farmers, and fostering equality in relationships and financial skills among women and men. Let me give you some specific examples of our projects and how they work. Just a few years ago, I was doing public health work in Ecuador with UW students when Flora Yepes, a community health worker, made a request that was not apparently health-related. She asked if I would help her women's circle, called Sumac Muyo, to start a small business by selling artisan crafts made of palm seeds. They're very beautiful bead-like seeds. I brought her request back to 4W colleagues, and now, several years later, the Wisconsin Without Borders Marketplace is thriving. Led by a faculty team with skills in design, retailing, and Latin American studies, the marketplace works with artisan groups promoting sales both here in Madison and in local markets. Over 50 students have participated in the effort, supporting the work from our UW classrooms, working on site in Mexico and Ecuador. They're developing skills that they can use wherever they are. In the communities, quality, artistry, and revenues are up. Recently, a group of Mexican lace makers were asked to participate in a prestigious craft show in Guadalajara. Similar efforts are beginning or underway in Ghana, Kenya, Nepal, and India. Another example of 4W impact is our work to end sex trafficking, our Streets Project. This local to global program includes policy initiatives, research, and opportunities for our students to learn and lead. In July, we hosted an international policy forum on the UW campus. We brought together researchers, leaders, and survivors to work toward better practices for care and healing. It was another 4W circle, using listening, scholarship, and community to foster hope and make change. Collaboration is now underway in Spain. A UW doctoral research project is proposed for Cambodia, and continued engagement is taking place right here in Wisconsin, and Streets is now developing an ongoing global network. We're about to formally launch the MORE project, an educational program available for both UW students and the larger community. MORE focuses on the ability to manage money and relationships in a framework of respect, meaning, and equality. Just recently, MORE was endorsed by the nationally prominent Council of Contemporary Families. So this is really important because they're a cutting-edge group and they're very actually selective about who they partner with. So that gives you an example of what we can do when we work across departments and schools to make change. In addition to projects, though, we do want to create a global platform here at Madison. And I'm proud to report that UW-Madison has been selected as to hold a UNESCO chair on gender and well-being and a culture of peace. There are about, thank you. There are about 20 such chairs in the U.S., and the UW-Madison chair is the only one that addresses gender and well-being. Under the auspices of this program with UNESCO, we will increase the UW stature as a convener and leading voice in relation to women's health and well-being. And our leadership platform will include an annual summit on women, gender, and well-being. Now, I know the Madison Civics Association has been meeting, and it started with a small group of women 100 years ago. So put this on your agenda for the next 100 years, because we're going to be having an annual summit. This year, our guest speakers will include Donna Shalala, international humanitarian and 4W collaborator Tererai Trent, and leaders from a national organization called Chicanas por mi Raza, and they will tell a Wisconsin story. I can't imagine a summit that would be more authentically Wisconsin and at the same time globally important. And some of you on your tables have a flyer with information, and I have some more, so you can look for me, my bright blue jacket, if you don't have one. I don't like to waste paper, so on the back there's a wonderful, another event that's open to the public for our Global Health Institute. So please come and get a flyer if you want to come to the campus to some events. I hope I've conveyed the promise and passion of the 4W initiative. I know in my telling I've skirted around the edges of deeply troubling problems and moral challenges in our society. As one who is engaged in the work, I feel it's very important to paint a hopeful picture, but at the same time to bear witness to the truth of the suffering, whether it's discrimination, abject poverty, violence, or sexual exploitation. Despite our best efforts, in our world today, there's almost nothing you can imagine that isn't already happening to a woman or girl. There's nothing that you can make up. How do we make sense of this? How do we do our work in light of this truth? I take my cues from women and girls themselves. the ones I've been privileged to meet through my work in orphanages, rural villages, schools, and clinics. Survivors of parental loss, human trafficking, migration, war. Yes, there is sorrow and despair, but there are also moments of joy and song. There are dreamers and triers among them, despite what they have experienced, and they remind me that we cannot ground our hopes in odds or projection models. Hope, rather, is a moral imperative, and if we're going to face the challenges in our world, we have to be brutally and wildly hopeful. The 4W initiative reminds us that we can, we should, and we must make life better for women and make the world better for all. For me, 4W is first and foremost a community, and I'm proud to say that the wisdom and strength and commitment of the whole 4W community is present in those circles in Ghana, Ecuador, and Madison, and I hope you'll you'll join the circle. Thank you.
Stay here, sir.